the starting house for the last time trial in the Tour de France. Bernard Hinault has announced he will try to beat teammate LeMond here and now.
He's attacked me from the beginning of the Tour de France. He's never helped me once, and I don't feel confident at all with him. That's all.
Greg LeMond's friend and ally now exists for the American as the enemy. Hinault's hunched frame on the time trial platform. Is this truly LeMond's nemesis?
You know, you never know what can happen. I can crash flat, so I feel really strong. I don't think there should be any problem.
In his world of meditation and isolation, the Badger is perched to lay waste to LeMond and the Tour de France. There are but 2 men left to ride the time trial. As the yellow jersey, the American will ride last. Hinault precedes him on the course.
If Hinault has any hope of beating LeMond, he must do it here in his speciality. After all, Hinault has won 20 of these special time trials since he first rode the Tour in 1978. 3 minutes later, Greg LeMond enters the start house, and for the first time in his life, he's last to begin, because he leads the Tour de France. Hinault has the chance to give his answer. Can he beat LeMond by enough time to bring victory in Paris, or will his tour end here? One way or another, the individual time trial will tell us the truth. LeMond knows too, he sits on the brink of stardom or disaster. Hinault wants so much to win, he pushes himself to gain precious time, and on a difficult narrow bend, he almost crashes. But in any case, the delay, if not the crowd, will cost him a couple of valuable seconds. Last year, LeMond beat Hinault by just 5 seconds in the Tour's final time trial. He knows he can do it, and above all, he wants to prove, especially to the French, he's a worthy wearer of the Golden Fleece. Hinault fights like a wounded animal. His pride is hurt, and in his own garden, he wants desperately to show he's the best. Pedaling at 35 miles an hour, LeMond seems to be having trouble getting his rhythm. He adjusts his shoe position. By using all of the road, Hinault is as smooth as ever, spurred on by his threats to beat LeMond by perhaps a minute.
LeMond has crashed on a tight turn and is in a panic to get back on his bike. An aide from the team car runs to give him a legal push.
Did you hear about the crash? Yeah, did you hear anything else about it? Crash. Is there a new split?
What crash?
Yeah, 'cause that's why
Greg's wife and mother were watching live French TV, which at the time was not covering Greg. Word that someone had crashed came over a walkie-talkie.
What? Crash.
LeMond was all right, but not everyone knew it.
Can't be, Greg. Can't be. Is there a crash with Greg? No! No, can't! No!
But he's all right. He's all right.
What happened? Oh, what happened? What do you mean he's all right? What?
crash between kilometers 30 and 40. He's all
But is he still riding?
LeMond had lost very few seconds in the crash, but the questions he could only answer. Was he injured? Had his paranoia finally gotten the better of him? Up ahead, Hinault continued to pedal away, and at the halfway point, the two were roughly even. LeMond has asked the team car for a wrench to adjust his brakes damaged in the fall. The brakes are now locking against his front tire. If he used a wrench himself, he would breach the rules, and the team car refuses. LeMond is asked to pull over and change bikes, but he continues to pedal. Hinault is closing in on the finish line, but first takes on a final climb. LeMond finally gives in and agrees to a bike change, losing more time. Is this now that nightmare LeMond had anticipated? Up ahead, Hinault is in his final sprint to the finish, along the very road where exactly 1 year ago, he was in the yellow jersey and almost lost the Tour in a bone-crushing collision with the pavement. But today, there would be no mishap for the Badger, and at the line, he caught the rider who had started 3 minutes ahead of him. Hinault had set the day's fastest time. This tough, handsome Breton with the nerves of steel had turned in the race of his life and the ultimate challenge to the man in the yellow jersey. The world would wait for Greg LeMond. Reports of the crash were already going out. Hinault had beaten his nearest competition by over 2 minutes. The world would wait and wonder about the fate of the American in yellow. His ride against all odds. Hinault had beaten him, but by only 25 seconds. The American would still be in yellow. His wife, Kathy, managed to burst through the crowd to find him. It was an emotional moment played out in the middle of an overpowering crush of reporters that eventually became too much for Greg to handle.
Laissez-le respirer, appuie-toi là.
The standings after 21 days. Bernard Hinault, 2 minutes 18 seconds behind LeMond, after one of the most emotional races in the history of the Tour de France bike race.
He's just killing himself to win this thing by himself with no help. And I don't know what to say. I just feel bad for him that he's all alone.
You would be hard-pressed to find a cyclist wearing the yellow jersey not wearing a smile this late in the Tour. LeMond was an angry young man indeed. The Tour is over. We won't fight each other anymore. Hinault's statement at the post-race news conference conceding the Tour de France to the American.
It's been a very bittersweet victory. I wish I could be. I think when I get to Champs-Élysées and it's over, I'll be happy. But I mean, it's hard to be happy right now. And there's so much pressure, so much tension in the air. It's been difficult.
Paris. The grand prize awaits Greg LeMond. Welcome back to Paris. I'm John Tesh along the Champs-Élysées. The race finished here about 1 hour ago, and wouldn't you know it, Greg LeMond at the beginning of it had some problems. Here's a look at what happened. LeMond had crashed and asked his team vehicle for a bike change. The rest of the pack was wondering where was Greg LeMond. Well, LeMond was not hurt, and the yellow jersey got quickly back on his bike. It was Bernard Hinault, the man in the polka dot climber's jersey, the 5-time winner of the Tour de France, who was able to lead Greg back up to the front and along the Champs-Élysées. 158 miles, and it was Hinault just behind the Maillot Jaune LeMond 6 times around the Champs-Élysées in Paris. 210 cyclists. Before it was all over, 40% had to abandon, to drop out of this great race. But when it was all over, it was Greg LeMond who finished here along the Champs-Élysées in yellow. The first American to win the Tour de France bike race. Andy Hampsten finished 4th. The best American on that 7-Eleven team, Bob Roll, 63rd place. Well, Greg LeMond just left us here. He had to go to a team meeting with the mayor. Here's what he said when we talked to him. Greg, congratulations. There was a time when we talked a few days back when you didn't think you'd be able to make it down the Champs-Élysées. There was so much turmoil. Are you still angry?
No, I've gotten over it, but there was so much tension in the air between me and Hinault, and it was only normal that I had that much. I mean, there were several times he wasn't quite frank with me, and I wish he would have told me what his plans were. And had he told me out in the open that he wanted to win the Tour, I would have approached the race completely different, and I wouldn't have been so nervous.
It looked to me like the French have finally accepted you as a true champion. The last few days there, we weren't hearing Hinault anymore. We were hearing LeMond.
Yeah, because I think in the time trial, I proved that I really should have won the time trial without my crash on my bike change. And the time trial is really what we call the race of the truth. I mean, there's no team tactics. There's nothing involved. It's just the strongest guy wins. And it came at the end of the Tour de France when that's the truest test of all, at the end of the Tour de France.
Well, I want one last question. Truly, how excited are you about winning?
It hasn't even sunk in. I mean, it's like, I don't know, it's like combining World Series, Super Bowl, everything into one thing and winning it, and not even, I mean, there's so much going on right now, so much press, so many people that I have to get back into my homeroom with my wife and sit back and think about it before I even realize what I've done.
It was great to see her unparalleled support of you, too, throughout the tour.
Yeah, she's my biggest supporter.
Congratulations again.
All right,
and good luck. We'll see you here next year. Back here live in Paris, and again, my congratulations to Greg LeMond. It's time to draw to a close my 4th Tour de France here on CBS Sports. There are a lot of marvelous people who worked very hard to bring you these shows, and I think they did a marvelous job. I embark on a new adventure now, leaving CBS Sports. I leave you in their hands, very capable people. So long for now. I'm John Tesh.
CBS Sports Sunday has been a presentation of CBS Sports.